Hello, welcome back. As you guys can see from the title, obviously you clicked on it, so you know what to expect. Today I'm going to share with you guys swatches and a little bit of just an overview of the new alter ego Sakura palette. This palette is absolutely stunning. It is beautiful. As you guys know, I am a fan of alter ego. I think they do such a good quality for the cost, and if somebody can't afford the actual high-end ticket price for the name brand one, I don't see anything wrong with it. It's no different from Walmart having their own brand equate compared to, name brand ones. So I'm going to go through, swatch this palette with you guys, give you a little bit of a background of it, and compare it to some other ones, just in case. Obviously, I have done this before with the one NATASHA DENONA palette that it is duping, but I wanted to just share with you guys a little bit about this palette. So if you are interested in it or are curious, I have it all here for you. So let's get into it. Okay guys, so this palette is $20, has 15 colorful shadows in it. As you guys can see, it is fused, according to them, is a fusion of subdued pink petal and cool sky matte alongside with some sparkling brilliance of cherry and prime shades. So here is obviously what this is the packaging of it. I'm covering the actual mirror because obviously I don't want you guys to get blinded, but this is what the actual packaging of the palette looks like. It is really, really pretty. I love that they have detail in their packaging because it does make it look a little bit more high end. Because I know that some palettes that I do see that are good quality or are affordable, they really don't take the time to do packaging. So obviously you can see that they have all the shade names in the back. So if you do want to discard this box, you can. The only difference is that the box does have the ingredients. So if you are somebody who is very allergic to certain things, this might be something good to have on hand. But if not, you can discard it and you can just have all of the shades back here and you can look on there. As you guys can see, it is 15 grams, cruelty free. So this is what the palette is looking like. Now, sharing this palette right off the bat, I can tell you right now, just by looking at all of these shades, there is none of that cream to powder formula that they do have in some of these palettes. I'm actually very happy that they may be listening to customer feedback and reviews and realizing that maybe they don't do the cream shadows as best as NATASHA DENONA. And I'm very happy because not only did this palette, but the previous one, the Nouveau one that they duped, or I think it was the Nouveau one that they duped, it did not have anything, no cream to powder. And I prefer it that way just because the cream to powder I preferred in the NATASHA DENONA palette, in the Huda Beauty, not necessarily in the Alter Ego. I don't think that that is their strong suit, but I do think that these are absolutely beautiful. I do believe that these are magnetic. You can pop these out and rearrange them, switch them. Don't quote me on that. I know the older palettes they did. I don't know if they still continue to do that now. So now that we have gotten all of the background out of the way, let's go ahead and swatch these shadows. Now in swatching these, you can clearly see that there are mattes, some that have sparkly shades or toppers in them, kind of like glitter flexes in them, I would say. But it's not anything too much. There's some satins in here, obviously the mattes, and I will tell you that all of these swatch beautifully. They feel very soft. They did not leave any staining really to my fingers, and they've really applied nicely. I didn't have to double dip. I didn't have to build any of these. This shadow, the first one, is rather light, but it might be something I can use as a transition or forgiving kind of shade. So obviously here are all of the shades swatched out. Now clearly this is duping the NATASHA DENONA Retro Glam palette. As you guys can see them side by side, they do have a very similar color story, but I don't feel like they're exactly the same. They have rearranged the shades so then they don't look the same. This is more of like ascending, kind of like lightest to darkest, and Natasha Denona just has them all over the place. For the most part, I can see where they duped them. Like this red is with this red, the sparkly one is with the sparkly, Oscar's over here, this one is over here, these two are right here, these two are right here, this pinky one here. So you guys can see that there is dupage, like these two right here. So besides duping the palette, they rearranged the shades so then you have a different color story. Sometimes rearranging palettes does give you a different outlook, a different feel for the palette to see how you'd like it. That is something that I do know. The color of the background is the same as you noticed. The names are obviously different, and 100% the formula is going to be different. This is actually good quality. If you've ever tried any of the most recent Alter Ego palettes, I really, really am liking them. I don't know about the beginning ones. They could be hit or miss, especially the early ones. I didn't try those as much. But these new ones, like these recent ones, are really good. Soft to the touch. They last on my eyes. They don't have that much fallout. And these shimmery shades do pack a punch. You can wet them. They're not as extremely sparkly or textured like some of these shades would be. So they are lacking in that. You do not get any of the cream to powder, which I'm content with because I feel like Natasha Denona does it better anyway. And for a fraction of the price, this is $69. This is $20. I do have a 10% off coupon that you can use on top of this if you are interested. That'll take care of at least the taxes of the palette, and that way you can save yourself money on that. It is affiliated. I will link it down below if you're interested in using it. You don't have to. For those that have used it, thank you very much. I appreciate it very much. So you do get some differences in here. If you're on a budget, this is really good. It really, really is good. I don't have much complaints about it. I have yet to put it on my eyes, but just by feeling of it, just by getting a little bit of knowledge from this brand, I don't see myself having an issue with this palette at all. Like none of these that I swatched, I felt like were lackluster, did not perform, did not show up in the swatch. And you guys know very well that I don't dig in these shadows. I do a soft swirl because I want to see the impact of the actual shadow without it being built up, to see if it actually does show up or do you need building on these shadows. The only one that really didn't show up on my skin was this one, and that's because I legit have a tan. And I'm sure when I am lighter, back to my normal color, this shade will show up at least as a transition shade on my eyes. If you are interested in this palette, but obviously with now how life is, inflation, everything is costing an arm and a leg, literally, you guys, I can understand why you would want to save money and go for this one. Guys, you're not really getting a terrible palette. I would honestly say it if I didn't think that it was a good palette. I really do think this is a really good one. I think it's a really nice dupe. Even this one that I really enjoy, I feel like this one's gonna do well. And this one right here gets hard pan, and this one I could tell will not, unless you wet it, obviously. But just by touching it, I didn't get as much hard pan as I do with this one. So I do like it. I'm very impressed. I love that they thought outside the box and rearranged the shades, because that does help. It does help to decide whether that's something that's going to go for you, whether the shades are similar or not. Here, you're kind of being deceived because you don't know if you can tell right here how similar. I'm just curious looking at these. See, like these two, they have different finishes. So this one's a lot more metallic than this one, and this one's more chocolatey brown. This one has a little bit more taupe to it. So you can see the slight differences in them, because you know that they're right next to each other. They may look the same in the pan, but they're a little bit different in the swatch. So this is the first one I want to share with you guys. I'm going to share with you guys just quick other palettes. I'm not going to do a bunch of swatches because I've already done this before with this specific palette, and this is just duping this one. So if you want to refer back to that video, you can see the palettes that I did compare it to this, because that'll be something you'll see here. But I'm just going to share with you guys really quick some palettes that I do have now in my collection that may help you to decide whether this is something you want to add or maybe you want to skip out on. All right, so this is a palette that I thought was very similar to this, the vibe of it. This is the Tinkerbell palette by ColourPop. I believe this is still available. The difference is that the ColourPop one is obviously more condensed, and the greens are a lot more potent. They pack a punch. You're still getting these like taupey purples in here. The greens are in here. These peaches are in here. These greens down here. So this is more of a condensed palette. Obviously, it's a lot more brighter, more impactful in your face, and you are getting a warmer shade in here versus getting one of these two. So if you do have the Tinkerbell and you're content with that, you may not want this one. You may be okay with this one, and it's a lot smaller and not so many options to have to worry about. Obviously, we cannot forget the NATASHA DENONA mini retro, I believe it's called. Yes, the mini retro one. You're getting a smaller amount of this one. You're getting their pinks, your green, a little bit of a green gray, and then more of a peachy or peachy pink kind of shade versus this one right here. So if you prefer this color story, see the difference here. You don't really need to have both if you don't want to. It's kind of the same vibe, more condensed again, to the point. Again, this is $20. You're getting 15 shades. This one's 27, I think they're up for now, and you're getting 5 shades. So there is a difference right there as well. If you own the bundle by Sydney Grace, that is kind of Mel's version of it, I believe it stops like right here. These shades right here are not part of it, but obviously I need to fill up my Z palettes. But if you notice up here, these are what she came up with. If you're happy with the Sydney Grace ones, you don't really need this one. Now the Sydney Grace ones, I believe, are $60 some for all of the shadows. You guys know that I absolutely love Sydney Grace. Their singles are phenomenal. I will always recommend them. I love them to death, and they are absolutely worth it because you do get a lot of product for what the cost is. But if you couldn't afford this, this might be a good alternative for you because these are really nice as well. And last but not least, I wanted to give you a different option. This is the Vintage Rose from Give Me Glow. If you wanted it to be a little bit more sultry, if you have deeper skin tone, if you want it to be a little bit more impactful, this might be an alternative for you. You're getting the green, you're getting some of that deeper peachy reddish shades, you're getting that sparkly shade that everyone likes, you are getting the green, and then you're getting a bubblegum pink. Obviously, you can use these as blushes as well. But this is just a different option, a different take on it. I just wanted to share with you guys. So if you did want it to be a little bit deeper, less shades, weren't really that interested, or you have this one and you felt like this was too much for your skin tone, it's so impactful, you wanted something lighter, but didn't want to break the bank, this might be an option for you. Okay, guys, I hope this video was helpful in some sort of way. I wanted to compare it to different kinds of palettes. You guys can see, think outside the box, decide for your own self if this is something that you are interested in. If you wanted this kind of scheme of shadows but just could not afford the other options that I shared or what is out in the market, completely understandable. This one is very affordable, $20. You can use my 10% off coupon like I mentioned, and that way you can save yourself money, at least on the taxes, if the shipping is still of having to be used for that. I understand with times now how things are expensive, and I'm always trying to understand that even for my own self. You know, we're not a family of just a husband and wife. We have 3 kids and a dog that is sick and has a lot of medication that has to be on them, and they're not cheap. So I get it. I understand. And I just want to bring options to you guys. So if this is something that you wanted, didn't really want to spend the arm and a leg, because we all know makeup does not last forever. We are fully aware of that. And this is actually a luxury versus other things that we have to purchase in life. So it's just the realism of it. And I do want to always be honest with you guys. But I will say, just from playing around with this one, touching it, swatching it with you guys today, I am excited to put this on my eyes. I have not done it since because I wanted to do this video, but I will be doing looks with this palette. I am very happy. This is going to be a really nice palette to turn into the fall time, because I feel like some of these are going to look nice in the fall, especially in the springtime. I feel like this is going to be really nice. So keep an eye out for Get Ready With Me using this palette. I will be sharing it with you guys so you guys can share a look. If you are interested in a specific look you want me to do with this palette during that Get Ready With Me, let me know as well. Everything you need to know about this palette will be down in the description box. Thank you guys so much for watching, and thank you to Alter Ego for sending this palette over to me for me to play around with, you guys. I did not get paid in any way, shape, or form. Always being honest with you guys. All right, guys, that's all that I have. Thank you guys. Again, more videos on the screen for your enjoyment. Until then, bye.